it's your girl Tatum, and welcome back to All Things Boss. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, guys, so let's just get right to this. Okay, this episode is extremely personal and very, very important to me. May is Preeclampsia Awareness Month, and if you follow me on social media, you know that I've been talking about it. I am a survivor of this illness. I had it 3 times, but I was not fully diagnosed until after my second pregnancy. So that is also like an issue with this illness, is that a lot of women are not diagnosed properly, and the symptoms is usually like put off as like, oh, that's just normal pregnancy stuff, but it's not. So with my third pregnancy, it was really like the worst. I can't even sugarcoat it at all. It was really bad. The symptoms were really bad, and it was a pretty bad experience. The blessing is I have my life and my son has his life. He's growing. He's about to be 5. So when I was 35, I was already considered high risk, and I was pregnant with Adonis, and I did let them know, hey, I heard about this thing, preeclampsia, after I had my second son about 7 years ago. I said, so, I'm just letting you know, I'm really not thinking it's that big of a deal. It is a big deal, okay? So just to let you know a little bit about my symptoms, with my first son, I had swelling, high blood pressure. After I gave birth to my first son, they gave me blood pressure pills. I stopped taking them about a month in. I also did experience excruciating headaches, which they had given me like muscle relaxers and stuff like that for the headaches after I had Sage. Then when I had Justice, my pressure was high, not that much swelling. I did have swelling of the hands, face, and slight headaches. It wasn't really, really bad. But what happened is that when I went into labor, my pressure went really high. I don't remember what it was at that time, but they kept me 5 days after giving birth just to regulate my pressure and to make sure that Justice was okay. So now fast forward 7 years later, I'm 35, I'm pregnant with Adonis. I mentioned, preeclampsia to the doctors. And I have to admit, like, they were on it with me. And I'm so thankful for that, because they were completely, like, making sure that nothing bad was going to happen to me on their watch. Like, basically, it was a very good clinic I went to. So they started me off with baby aspirin. I had to take that every single day. And then as time went on, things just started happening. Like, I was gaining weight really fast, and I wasn't even eating a lot. So gaining weight quickly is a sign. Also, I don't remember having a lot of swelling, but I do remember my hands would swell up. They would get tight just a little bit. I didn't have no swelling in my feet, and I don't remember having swelling in my face. Maybe not until the end, which is pretty normal with most pregnancies. You swell up at the end. And I had headaches. The one thing that was very alarming during that pregnancy with Adonis is that my kidneys was not pushing out the protein the way that it was supposed to. My protein levels were through the roof. They were in the thousands. They were very, very high. So in return, what ended up happening is that my kidneys started to fail. So I had to see a kidney specialist. Then I had to see a cardiologist. Then I had to have several MRIs because there was like a white mass on the top of my brain that the doctors couldn't explain. So at 32 weeks, they gave me a steroid shot after I fought with them not to have it, but I had to come to realization that this is really serious. And the steroid shot was for Adonis's lungs to mature so they could induce my labor. Yeah, I wasn't happy about that. I just have to be honest, I wasn't happy about it. But thankfully, when I turned 38 weeks, I pushed through. I begged those doctors, like, no, you're not taking my baby out at 33 weeks. He's not ready. So at 38 weeks to the day, I went into labor. It was a tough labor. It wasn't easy. No drugs. Pressure went up to 210 over 170, which is like stage 3 of like hypertension. And yeah, like that can cause a stroke, heart attack, anything. Like I could have died. Adonis could have died. So I am extremely thankful to God that I am here to share my story. My son is going on 5 years old, and you know, I'm blessed. Like seriously, I'm blessed. So that's my story. But I also wanted to hit you guys with some facts. So this episode is a little long, a little lengthy, but you know, hang in there because I have a registered nurse coming in to state some facts, to answer some questions that I have. So I want you guys to welcome Cheniqua Morales, who is a RN. And amongst other things, I'm going to let her get into all the different certifications that she has.
Hey, girl. Hey, Cheniqua. I'm so happy to have you here. I am excited to be here. Let's get all the formalities out of the way. Joining me today on All Things Boss is Cheniqua Morales, who I am excited to have. And I'm going to have her run down all the titles, okay? I'm just going to say she's a registered nurse, but I want her to really introduce herself to you guys. So Cheniqua, take it away. Give us a quick introduction.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and celebrating this amazing month with you.
Yes, thank you.
I am just a nurse that has studied very hard, and I feel like excellence is everything. So I have a few certifications, and so that's why all the letters on the back of my name. There's still a few more I'm working on getting, because I want to be the best nurse that I can be. I want to come to the table with the best, I guess, just the most evident, the best, we call it best practice. So that when I come to take care of my patients, it's effective, it's efficient, and there's evidence behind what I'm doing. Yes. So I am certified in quite a few different things, but all things labor and delivery, postpartum,
awesome.
high-risk postpartum, well baby nursery, all of that I've done, and that's where my heart is.
And this is why I needed you for this episode, because I can only speak on experience. I definitely know you can speak on experience as well, but I know that you're going to come with the facts. And that's always what we want. Yeah, absolutely. So I just shared my whole story with preeclampsia. So now I just have some questions for you, for the viewers, that, you know, help inform us and give some facts, and also, you know, some of your personal experience. I'm fine with that too.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
I feel like, am I looking in the right direction? Because I'm like, you're down here. So
so yes, your eyes are straight, and I was actually thinking the same thing. I was like, don't look in the corner, don't look in the corner. Are my eyes straight? We're good, right?
Right. Okay. So my first question for you is, working in the maternity ward, have you ever experienced women with preeclampsia often or not so often?
So preeclampsia, we joke about it, and not in the sense that it's a funny condition. Right. But in the sense that when it shows up on the labor floor, it's like a 2-for-1 sale. Everybody has it. It is actually one of the most common medical complications of pregnancy, and a lot of women don't know that. And I try to spend a lot of time with my patients. I try to spend a lot of time explaining that this is actually very common. It's just not spoken about. Either they do, you know, like we don't talk about, we love the highlights of pregnancy and we love our reveal party. And I just looked at her and said, listen, right? She was like, these medications, they're making me worse. But we have to learn how to have that conversation. I want to start, so one of my missions, and I have several, oh my God, but all related to, you know, empowering our women, empowering our communities on how pregnancy, just complications you can have, or things you should be mindful of during your pregnancy, after your pregnancy, right?
Yes.
So one of the things we have to be mindful of is talking about it. It's really important that we go back, we share our stories, we share our experiences, and we are knowledgeable, and we have to empower ourselves as patients and as clinicians as well.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree. And, you know, as I was sharing my story with preeclampsia, I wasn't diagnosed or didn't even know anything about it till after my second pregnancy. So this will, you know, just bring me into my next question for you. So in your opinion, are women diagnosed and monitored properly? As we know, there's no cure and sort of there's no real reason why it happens. So what's your opinion on that?
So it can go both ways. I think oftentimes misdiagnosis is a big part of it. A lot of times, so there's two parts, right? I'm going to try to keep this very brief but still kind of keep the meat in it. Yes. So there's two parts. There's the patient and then there's the clinician. So as the clinician, you come in as the patient and I'm the clinician and you're pretty much like, look, this is happening. Help me and fix me, right? Mm-hmm. And so as a clinician, I am very much a big believer on making sure that I stay on top of best practice, making sure I stay current on the condition, what they found, what they didn't find, right? But a lot of clinicians, sometimes, I don't want to say a lot, because we all come in and we all give our best, that I will say.
Right.
However, it's important to understand that as the patient, you also have some work to do. Because I may miss something, or maybe I'm, you know, clinicians have their heads in 100 different places, but it's important that we have a conversation so that we can both piece this together, right? So there's an education portion, yes, for clinicians, for providers to be able to recognize the signs and symptoms, right? Then there's a part of patient education where we want to empower you to know what signs and symptoms to look for, right? Which I want to definitely cover at least that part tonight, right? Yes. And then there's the patient adherence part to it.
Okay.
A lot of times patients come in, and I'm going to say this, us as women of color, we are way more likely to experience complications, preeclampsia, postpartum hemorrhage, all of these things than our counterparts, right? In New York City, right? In New York City, for every one white woman that gets sick or even dies in childbirth, you know, childbirth related complications, 8 Black women die or get sick. There's a big discrepancy there, right? Yeah. So my mission is to empower all women, but particularly women of color, right? So there's another part to this, though, that the patient adherence. So sometimes we have, you know, we come in like, no, that can't be my diagnosis, or no, nothing's wrong with me, or why did you come at me that way? Sometimes we can be we don't want to hear that anything's wrong, because it goes back to that picture that we want to, that experience we want to have. So it's 3 parts. It's the clinician and the provider knowing and recognizing the sickness, right? It's the patient understanding and knowing that they're part of what to look for, what signs and symptoms to look for. And then it's both the clinician or provider saying, hey, listen, this is what we need to do to manage it. And you saying, okay, let's do this, where a partnership needs to form.
Right. No, I agree with you 100%. And even with my last pregnancy, I don't want to say I was combative with the doctors, but I really was just like annoyed at the process. And even with saying that, they were very, very good. I know that's not a lot of women of color. I know a lot of women of color don't have that same story, but they were on top of me. Okay. And it got to a point where I was just like, no, I'm not doing that. No, you're not giving me a steroid shot at 32 weeks to mature my son's lungs. You know what I mean? Because you're not taking him out. So I'm like fighting them. Then times when I had to stay in the hospital, no, I'm not staying. Then it was like, ma'am, do you want to live? Do you want your child to live? Like basically they had to just say it to me like that, because like you said, in my head, I'm understanding. I understand the severity of it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm feeling like I have absolutely no control of what's happening. And that kind of messes with you when you're pregnant, you know? It's like you said, you have this picture in your head, like, oh, I'm going to have this beautiful baby. I'm going to have this beautiful baby shower, take these beautiful photos, and everything's going to be beautiful. And that is not true. at all. So I agree with everything that you said. So I have just one more question for you. So in your opinion, are doctors and nurses knowledgeable of warning signs? You kind of touched on that. And are they less proactive when these signs occur? So before you do answer, as we did mention already, women of color, unfortunately, are prone to this illness. And not to say other women of other nationalities don't get it, but as we all know, a lot of women of color die during childbirth. And I don't know if it's a thing of doctors not just being knowledgeable and of the warning signs, or just letting these women know. Like, I know when I was diagnosed, I was told what to do. You know what I mean? I was given a heads up, like, hey, this is what you should do so you could survive this. But I don't think that's the conversation with all women.
The key is to have a conversation and listen.
Absolutely.
So
it's really important.
Yeah, and just understanding like what your signs and symptoms are. And I know we're running out of time, but I at least want to leave you with a little something. With regards to like, and it's crazy because a lot of these signs and symptoms could be so subtle, right? So I just want to leave you guys with some resources that I'm going to share it with you. I'll text it to you so you'll put it in the show notes.
Yes, absolutely. It'll be in the description for everyone to see.
Perfect. So I just wanted to share like just signs and symptoms, things that we need to be aware of, whether no matter what, throughout your pregnancy, and just kind of remember your physician or your provider works for you. That's number one.
Right.
You're entitled to good care. If we're looking at signs and symptoms, like just to do a little bit of teaching, you want to be mindful of headaches that are like unrelieved by Tylenol, right? Did you get a lot of headaches?
Headaches for sure. I'm pretty, so keep going and I'll just do a thumbs up.
So there's headaches, there's change in your vision. It can be spotting, it can be tunnel vision, it could black out, it varies, right? There can be elevated blood pressure, chest pain, difficulty breathing, nausea after mid-pregnancy. So any nausea you have after 20 weeks, any like heartburn is a sign. Any weight gain. Oh, good, because the heartburn is awful. Weight gain more than 5 pounds a week. You want to be mindful. Swelling of your face and your hands. Right? All of this sounds familiar. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So any of those things, please call your doctor. Please call your provider.
Immediately, because it's not normal. And a lot of people assume that during pregnancy you retain water. Oh, you're going to swell. Your feet will swell. Your hands. That is not normal. And let me tell you, with my first 2 pregnancies, as I mentioned, they just didn't tell me. Yeah. It didn't tell me,
We have to have time. So anyone that wants to continue this conversation, yes, we're gonna have a part 2. But
wait, I just thought about this. You know what we could do? We can do a live.
Oh, so you're this really
way, so people can actually type in questions and you can answer.
That's a really good idea.
I think that's great. So that's what we're gonna do.
Okay, so Tatum, you're actually part of my tribe now, and you are making me expand my comfort zone. Okay. Yes. So I do have an organization that I have a community organization that we're getting ready to start up. So I'm going to we have started an IG page, but I'll give you some information about that. Okay. And I do have I have a separate organization where I train clinicians and really help them to understand complications and improve their quality of care to patients.
Right.
So in this live, we can definitely go deeper on that. I'm excited.
Love it. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for just giving your time, your knowledge, educating us. I really, really appreciate it. And I can't wait to just talk more. As you can see, we can talk because
girl,
we went over time, but this is important. This is really important. So I'm so grateful that you did this. It is such a pleasure to have met you. And we're locked in now.
I love it.
So I'm sipping on some water here, but next time, maybe we can sip on a cocktail.
Girl, we can let's, as a matter of fact, end this now. Good night, y'all. We're gonna plan drinks. because COVID is over, or it's not over, but at least things
it's
are
not
opening.
over, but it's a little bit more relaxed.
It's a little bit more. We can go out.
Yes,
Things are open. We can celebrate.
We can go outside. Oh man,
I miss
this
the
is
restaurant so much. Oh my God, food was my jam. All right, good night, y'all. We gotta go.
Thank you.